Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, this video actually marks the beginning of a new series. We're going to start a new series on working with Agentic RAG system. So this is going to be a series of up to like 5 to 6 videos. We're going to cover Agentic RAG applications from the very bottom level to all the way up. And then finally, we're going to go ahead and build a very awesome project at the end of the series. So let's jump into it. So in this video, again, this is the first video of the series. So in this video, we're going to be looking at how to work with router query engines. Okay, so let's look at the table of content and the different things that we're going to cover in this video. So we're going to be looking at traditional RAG system, just to give you a refresher of what a RAG system is, how to use RAG systems. So, okay, for anyone who has also not been working with RAG systems, we just give everyone a refresher on what a RAG traditional or vanilla RAG system is. We'll look at what's an agentic RAG system. From the understanding of a traditional RAG system, then look at why do we need agentic RAG systems, and then why are we having this whole series on agentic RAG systems. You're going to look at how to set up a development environment, getting your open API key, downloading the data set you're going to be using, and then overview of an agentic RAG architecture, and then we'll look at the router engine query engine, and then look at basically putting everything together into a function that we can use later on in the series. So let's jump into it. Let's not waste any more time. So what is a vanilla RAG system? So what is RAG in the first place? So RAG stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. So whenever you have an LLMs, right? LLMs are trained on some data. They are pre-trained on some data from the internet or from the web, from anywhere, right? They have data that they use to train these LLMs, these large language models. Sometimes you want your LLM to have access to publicly available data. Like you want LLM to have access to a certain document that is not available on the internet, or the LLM has not been trained upon, right? If it's not available on the internet, then the LLM has likely not been trained upon it. Okay. So we have this document, let's say PDF document about a research paper, which we use in this case, that you want to have a conversation with this research paper. So basically you take the document, we break the document down into smaller pieces, which we call chunks, or which we call nodes in Llama-Index. And then finally we create vector embeddings of these smaller chunks, and we store them in an embedding store or a vector database. And then whenever a user asks a question about the document, what we simply do, we take the user's question, which is in natural language or plain English or whatever language you're using. We take that the natural language question or the query from the natural language, we convert it into embeddings, and then we compare it against existing embeddings within our vector store to find documents that are very similar and can be used to answer that specific question. So once we retrieve those chunks, we call them the retrieve chunks or the retrieve documents, we pass them on to an LLM. So you can see we have a huge document which we broke down into smaller pieces, great embeddings for them. This helps us to perform what you call similarity search to find the most relevant document. This similarity search can be done using cosine similarities or dot product or any other technique out there. After you get the retrieve document, you're going to pass the retrieve document along with the user question, and then ask the LLM to answer the user question based on the retrieve document that you have retrieved from embeddings, right? And then the LLM goes ahead and provides us a response, which we then return back to the user. So the response is based on the document that we originally had, right? So that's basically what a RAG system is and how a RAG system works. Good. So that's basically a plain vanilla RAG system. Now let's look at a more advanced RAG system, which is an agentic RAG. So in the previous videos, we have looked at what are agents and how to work with agents using different frameworks. We have looked at different agent architectures such as reflection agents, reflection agents. There are different types of agents. We use different libraries like LangGraph, Crew AI, and AutoGen. We have already covered all those in the previous videos, and we also covered vanilla RAG system in depth in the previous videos. So now combining the two gets us what we call an agentic RAG system. So in when we're talking about agents, we talk about an agent having basically an LLM basically that has tools and can call these tools to perform different things. That's basically what an agent can be, right? So we're taking now our RAG system and you're combining with a bunch of tools to get an agentic RAG. But these tools basically help you to retrieve information that you can use to answer our questions. So this maybe you have information of let's say you're working for an e-commerce company, and you have information about different products, but this information can only be accessed through an API call, right? So you might write a Python function that can call this API and return information about the specific product. So when the user asks a question, we look at the question and see what kind of product information is the user trying to get. So we use our tool, which is our Python function, to call the API to get information about that specific product and use that information as context to answer the user's question regarding the product. So that's basically what an agentic RAG system is. We have a normal RAG system, which also has a bunch of tools, and this tool can enable you to interact with the external environment. So RAG system help us to do what you call tool calling or function calling, what I just explained. We have a router query engine, which is what this video is about, so don't worry about that. I'll explain that just in a second. And also our agentic RAG has capabilities to do multi-step reasoning. So currently existing traditional RAG systems don't have the capability to do multi-step reasoning. They can only reason in one step. They can only take one step of reasoning. With agentic RAG, we can perform multi-step reasoning over our document, so we have more detailed answers. So we can ask two questions, whereby the first question, the second question relies on the answer from the first question. So using an agentic RAG, we can break that question into two sets, perform one set, get the output, use the output as an input to answer the question from the next step. That is multi-step reasoning. Currently, current traditional RAG system, vanilla RAG system, are not capable of doing that, right? So having an agentic RAG system, you can achieve that. Agentic RAG system also enables us to perform a RAG over multiple documents. So you can have hundreds of documents, hundreds of sources where you're getting information from, API calls, PDF documents, Word documents, text documents, you name it. Agentic RAG system does better compared to traditional RAG system. Again, you can also do the same thing in traditional RAG system, but has some limitations that we'll look at when later on in the series. So it also supports multiple documents and has the ability to perform tool retrieval. And we'll look at this tool retrieval, which is really a very cool concept in agentic AI. So let's move on to the next video, the next slide. So in here, you're going to look at why this series, right? We've already looked at why do we need this series. Why do we need agentic RAG system is the same reasons why we need this series, okay? So just introducing you to new concept, new technology, new things that you can use to build your own custom tools and build really cool applications, okay? So now let's move on to the environment setup. So to set up our development environment, you can use any environment that you want. You can use Google Colab, you can use Anaconda, you can use even the normal Python virtual environment that comes with Python. But I'm going to be using Poetry because Poetry is, I just like Poetry, let me say. And it's much easier for me. And I've made many videos working with Poetry. So I will just continue from there. We have the same consistent kind of doing things right over the channel. So now let's move on to now setting up our project. So I'm going to go back into my terminal, and once I'm in a folder called tutorials on my desktop, I'm going to mkdraw, and I'm going to create a folder called agentic underscore rag and press enter, change directory into my agentic rag. And I'm also going to go ahead and make another directory in there called basics and press enter. So if I do S, I should see a folder there called basics. Good. So once I'm inside of this, I'm going to change directory into my basics folder. And then once I'm in there, I'm going to do poetry. I need to create an initialize a poetry project. And I'm just going to press enter for all this. I'm going to leave everything as default. Good. So once I have it created, if I do an ls, you can say I have a pyproject.toml file. Good. That means we are really we are set up. So good. So again, I have all these commands right here in case you skip any of the commands, you had an issue, you can always pause the video and type this out at your own pace. So once we have this done, I'm going to go ahead and now install a couple of libraries. So we're going to install Llama-Index python.env. So I'm going to say poetry add llama-index. I'm also going to go ahead and add in python.env. I'm also going to go ahead and add in next async IO. I'm also going to go ahead and add in Python kernel because we're going to use Jupyter Notebook. Okay, so interactive Python notebook. And I'm also going to go ahead and install wget or wget. And I think it's big wget. And we're going to use this to install to download the different PDF files that you work with later on. Okay, so let's just give this a bit of time, and this can take the time depending on how fast your computer is, how fast your internet connection is, and other host of factors. So good. So let's just give this a bit of time for this to run through. And once this is installed, I'll be back recording. So let's give this a bit of time. Okay, so while this is installing, one more thing, you also need to have an Open API key, and you can get your Open API key from the link that I have in the slides right here. This might change in the future, so you might just type out OpenAI login, and then log in from there, create an account, and then click on the API section, get an API key. Quite straightforward, quite simple. If you have any issues doing that, let me know in the comment section below. I'll do my best to help you. Again, you have done this so many times in other videos, so I'm confident it won't be an issue for you guys. Okay, so once we have, let's check this if it's installed. Okay, let's give this a bit more time. So make sure right now, pause the video, go ahead and get your Open API key, and I'll be back recording once I have all those libraries installed properly. Okay, so I have all the libraries that we need already installed. So good. So once we have this, I'm going to close this, and then I'm going to change one directory back. Okay, change directory into basic. And once I'm inside of here, I can just open up my favorite text editor. Again, I'm going to be using VS Code, so feel free to use any editor that you're comfortable working with. You can use Atom, you can use Sublime, you can use VS Code as I am using, you can use PyCharm, just name it, right? You can use anything just as long as you're comfortable working with it. I'm not comfortable with VS Code, so I'm going to use VS Code, okay? Good. So once I have my VS Code open up and loaded, so I'm going to go ahead and create a folder. I'm going to call this folder data sets. And this we're going to keep in all our basically our PDF files that you want to have a conversation with. Okay. So now once we have that, let's go ahead and get your Open API key. So again, you can follow this link right here to get your Open API key. Okay. So once you have your Open API key, I'm going to go ahead and simply add it in. I'm going to say .env, create a file like that, and then I'm going to say open AI underscore API underscore key, and then equals to, and then simply have my Open API key right here. But in your case, you're going to go ahead and keep in your actual Open API key. So let me get my Open API key and then add it in here, and then I'll be back recording. So good, I just went ahead and simply added my Open API key inside of my .env file. So once we have that running, we need to go ahead and download the dataset that we'll be working with, or basically the PDF file that we'll be chatting with. In this case, I'm going to be using the LoRa paper. So LoRa paper is just a paper on how to fine tune LLM. So I'm going to go ahead and download this LoRa paper and make sure I'm going to have it right here. So go ahead and click on save, and that should download it right there. So once it's downloaded, I'm going to go in here. I'm going to rename this. I'm going to call it LoRa. Sorry, all of it's lowercase. LoRa underscore paper dot PDF, and press enter. So we have that PDF file in there. So good. So once we have it, I'm going to go ahead and create a Jupyter notebook. So underscore 01 dot IPYNB. Okay. So that's going to be used for now. We're going to use have basically keeping all in here. So good. So the first thing we need to go ahead and do, make sure you have an environment selected. In your case, sometimes mine automatically picks it up. Sometimes you have to configure it automatically. So just click on this and make sure that you select this file right here. Okay. So make sure you select this file right here to which is the environment that you the poetry environment that you are using. Good. So once we have that loaded, we can begin to actually code. So good. So the first thing we're going to go ahead and do is simply let me just go back in here. So go back inside of here. So we have done our data set already. Now let's look at an overview architecture of Agentic RAG system. So this is an overview architecture, but in this architecture, there's so much things that I really don't want to explain at the moment, because it will just confuse a majority of people, because we didn't go over all of them. So I'll just push this aside for now, and we'll focus on what you want to look at in this tutorial, which is actually a user query, a router query engine. So how does a router query engine work? So basically, we have our document right here. In this case, our LoRa paper. You're going to split it down into different smaller chunks, which you're going to call nodes. And you're going to use those to create vector indexes or vector stores. And you're going to use those vector stores to create vector query engines. Okay. And you're going to put all those, in this case, you're going to have two vector query engines, a summary query engine and a vector query engine. All of them are going to be under the router query engine. So what does the router query engine really do? So let's say I have a user input right here. Okay. I'm asking the user about, give me a summary of the LoRa research paper. So that's user input goes into the query engine. So the query engine is going to take a look at the user question and look at the tool description. So each of these tools, we are going to have a description that we're going to provide ourselves. So it's going to look at the description of these tools and see, okay, I have this question of providing a summary of the LoRa research paper. Which of the tools can I use in this case that can help to provide a summary of the query research of the LoRa research paper? In this case, the summary tool is going to be efficient. So it's going to route that response, that question, to the summary query tool engine that's going to provide us an answer and then return the answer back to the user. So that's basically what a router query engine is. It does exactly what the name says. It routes queries. Okay, good. So once we have that, let's go ahead and implement this exactly. So the first thing we're going to go ahead and do is to load and split in our document. So let's get that. So the first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is first load in my .env file. I'm also going to go ahead and basically load in that file, okay, using all these commands right here, and you're going to exactly good. So once I have those loaded, let me just close the side panel right here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and you're going to use this library called next async IO. So this library helps us to work with asynchronous libraries within Jupyter Notebooks, because Jupyter Notebooks by default they don't support asynchronous. So this library is just a way around it. Okay, so once we have that, I'm going to go ahead and simply load in this is LlamaIndex .core. I'm going to go ahead and import the simple simple directory reader. That's going to help us to directory reader, and that's going to help us to read basically read files and folders, in this case files. Okay, so we're going to create a variable called documents, and it's going to be equals to simple directory reader. And then let me just get rid of this. It's just provided by I'm using what's this called again? It's really getting out of my mind. I'm using the GitHub Copilot, so it's providing these auto suggestions. So I'm going to say document, and I'm going to provide in input files. Okay, so input files, just like that, and this is going to be a Python list. So we're going to go in here and specify the data set / LoRa paper. That's basically it. You're going to call the load underscore data method on this, and that's going to go ahead and load in that specific file that you want to work with. So once I have that, I'm going to go ahead and run this, and that should now read that document. So I got an input right here. So I cannot import name simple. Okay, this is simple directory reader. So let me get the spelling there right. Okay, so GitHub Copilot sometimes really makes silly errors. So this is going to take a bit of time, and it's simply going to go ahead and read in that basically the LoRa research paper. And once it's ready, what you're going to go ahead and do is now go on to the next step. And the next step is now splitting that document into different smaller chunks called nodes. Okay, so now the document has been read. Now we're going to go ahead and create different chunks which are called nodes. Okay, so we're going to say from llama-index.core.node parser. I'm going to go ahead and import the following. So I'm going to import the sentence splitter. So we're going to create a splitter variable, which is going to be an instance of the sentence splitter, and you're going to specify the chunk size. So the chunk size, you're going to use 1024 so as the chunk size. You can also specify chunk overlaps if you want to, and we cover this in the basics of working with basic RAG implementation. So I'm going to call this and say get underscore nodes from documents. You're going to pass in the document, which is just this documents right here. Good, and then press enter. So that's going to go ahead and split our document inside smaller chunks called nodes. So once we have that, let's create a document. We've already created a document chunk. Now going to go ahead and creating an LLM and an embedding model. So we can take a look at these documents if you want to. So to look at this, okay, it's going to go ahead and simply say node underscore metadata, and it's going to be equals to, you're going to say nodes, and you're going to get the very first one, and you're going to simply say dot get. You're going to use dot get metadata metadata. So let me get metadata right here. So I'm going to get them actually get content. Sorry, my bad. Get underscore content, and you're going to go ahead and simply say metadata. We're going to say that to be true, which is going to return to us the metadata as well. And I'm going to simply print a string representation of this, or node parser, node metadata. Okay, press that, and that's going to return to me all information about this smaller chunk that we have. So you can see it's also extracted from page 1. You can see what the content is and all of that, right? So good. You can actually go ahead and check in 2. So you can see this was extracted from like document 3, because this is the third element in the index, right? If you want second element, you have to use 1, right? So again, this is from page 2. So let's check the length of how many these nodes we have. So the length of this is we have 36 different split into the document has been split into 36 different chunks or smaller nodes. Okay, good. So once we have that, now let's go ahead and create the LLM. So I'm going to add a comment right here, and this is going to be basically create LLM and embedding model. That's it. Good. So to do this, you're going to say from Llama-Index.core, I'm going to go ahead and import settings. We're going to use this to set our global settings. I'm also going to say from Llama-Index from Llama underscore index.core, I'm going to LLMs dot OpenAI. I'm going to go ahead and import the OpenAI. Okay. I'm also going to say from Llama index dot the embeddings dot OpenAI embeddings. We're going to go ahead and import the OpenAI embeddings right there. Good. So we're going to use the OpenAI embeddings. So we're going to set settings. Settings going to be equals to settings. I'm going to say let me just use this way instead. So I'm going to go ahead and simply say settings.llm is going to be equals to the OpenAI LLM, and you're going to use the model, specify the model which you want to use. You're going to use the GPT model right here. So let me just get rid of this. Good. So that's all I want to do. So that's it. So specify the model that you want to use, and I'm also going to go ahead and set in the embedding model. So I say setting.embedding so equals to the OpenAI embedding, and you specify the model that you want to use, and the model basically the model that you want to use in this case is going to be equals to, we're going to use the model text hyphen embedding hyphen the other hyphen 002. That's the model that you want to use. So text embedding hyphen adder 002. So make sure you get those names right. So once we have that, I'm going to press enter, and good, we are good to go. So now that we have done that, now what you're going to do, let's look at the next thing on the list. We're going to go ahead and create indexes. So you're going to create basically the summary index and the vector store index. So we're going to say from llama-index.core, I'm going to go ahead and import basically the summary and the vector store index. So I'm going to say summary, create a summary underscore index is going to be because the vector store index, and you're going to go ahead and pass in our different nodes that you want. In this case, nodes is going to be equals to nodes. Okay, you're going to also go ahead and create in the next index vector. The next index will be equals to vector underscore index. You're going to be equals to the vector index, passing the nodes right there, and then run that. So once we have that, that's all we need to go ahead and create the indexes. So this might take a bit of time, depending on how big the document is and how fast your computer is. So once we have those indexes created, the next step is you're going to go ahead and simply turn these indexes. Okay, so let me just go back in here to explain to you something in a lower end. So you had a document, we have split the document into chunks, we have created indexes. So you're going to use these indexes to create query engines, okay, so which are going to be used by the router query engine. Okay, so let's go ahead and create this now query engines that we want to. So basically turning our vector, this one right here, into query engine. So let's go to always add a comment right here, creating query engines. Okay, and this one was creating indexes. So let me just add it right here, creating indexes. Okay, and then that's basically it. So let's go ahead and create this engine. So I'm going to say summary underscore query underscore engine is going to be equals to the summary. The names will say, you're going to say dot as underscore query engine. Okay, you're going to say dot as query engine. You're going to go ahead and pass in a couple of things right here. So we're going to pass in the response underscore model. And the response model, you're going to go ahead and use a tree response model. It's going to be equals to, you're going to go ahead and simply say tree underscore summary, just like that. Good. So we're also going to go ahead and pass in the user, basically the use underscore async, async. And you're going to say that to be true. So the use async, we talk about why we had this library right here. So the next async library to help us run asynchronous functions, and this is one of the places where we're using those asynchronous functions. So using async is going to be true. This is going to make everything a lot faster. Okay, so once we have that now, let's go ahead and create the vector underscore query underscore engine, and this is going to be equals to the vector as query engine. You're going to go ahead and pass in a couple of things. Yes, okay, You don't need to specify anything. In this case, you're just creating a simple vector query engine. So we run that. Good. So now we have our vector query engine. So we have these two, the summary query engine and the vector query engine. Good. So now that we have this, the next step that you're going to take is basically, let's move on to this step, which is this is what you have done so far, right? You have created the vector query engines from our documents. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead into step 5. We're going to go ahead and create the router query engine that you can use to route the different queries to the different engines to help answer those questions. Good. So once we have this in there, well, the next thing we're going to go ahead and do is to create the query engine. So the router query engine. Okay. So what we need to do first is to basically turn our query engines into tools. Okay. So again, we talk about agents having tools, and agents can use tools to execute or to accomplish different stuff. So let's go ahead and create one of those tools. So let's go add it here. So we're going to say this is going to be a query tool. Cool. Okay, good. So once we have that there, I'm going to go ahead and say from llama.index.core.tools, I'm going to go ahead and import the query tool, query engine tool. Good. So I'm going to create a summary underscore tool. Summary tool is going to be equals to the following. So we use the query engine tool. Okay. And I'm going to, let me just use the autocomplete right here. So you're passing the query engine tool. And the query engine is going to be basically our summary query engine. Good. And you're going to pass in a description of this specific tool. So a description help the model, will help the LLM know which tool, what this tool is used for. That's basically it. So description, and you can pass in here a tuple if you want to, or you can pass in basically a Python string. So let's use a tuple right here. And this is going to be, you can just go ahead and say useful. Okay, let me get the spelling of useful right. Useful for summarization documents, or using, okay, let's go take this. Useful for summarizing. Let's say useful for summarization of the LoRa paper. That's basically it. So useful for summarization of the LoRa paper. That's basically it. So once I have this, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for the other basically the query tool, which is going to be called the vector underscore tool. And this is going to be equals to basically a query engine tool. You're going to go ahead and pass in the query engine as a vector, and then useful for summarizing sentences, useful for answering questions related to the LoRa paper. That's basically it. So that's it. So it's useful for retrieving, useful for answering or retrieving. Okay, so anything that you want. Useful for, let's say not answering. Yes, use retrieving specific context related to the LoRa paper. So that's basically it. So once we have that done, we are good to go. So we have these two tools created right now. So we have turned our query engines into now tools, and you're going to use these tools within our router query engine. So how do we do that? So let's go back in here, and let's go ahead and now let's create, we're going to simply go ahead and create the router query engine. That's basically what you want to create right now. So we're going to simply say from llama underscore index. Okay, this is a Python file. Yeah, it's not. So let's do that. Create a Python SL right here and say from llama-index dot core dot query engine dot router query engine. I'm going to import the router query engine right there. Good. So once you say from llama-index dot core dot selector, we're going to go ahead and import LLM. We're going to import LLM single selector. And a selector, basically what a selector does is what the name specifies. So it selects a tool out of a given tools in this specific use case. So basically, if you pass in anything into this selector object, it simply returns to one of the selections from your from whatever you have passed in. So in this case, you're going to go ahead and pass in all, as explained earlier, the router query engine is going to pass in all these tools and their descriptions to the LLM single selector, and the LLM single selector is going to return a single selection based on what the user question is, and then you're going to route now the query to that specific tool that was selected. Okay, so we're going to say query underscore engine is going to be equals to the router query engine. And you're going to go ahead and pass in the selector, and the selector is going to be equals to the LM selector, right, that we specified. And I'm going to say dot from underscore defaults and then pass in that. So that's all we want to do. You're also going to go and say query engines, query engine tools. You're going to have a list of tools. You're going to have the summarization tool, and you're going to have the vector tool as well. Good. And once we have that, you can also specify verbose to be either a true or a false in case you want to verbosely see what's going on. So that's basically what you need to create the vector query tool. So summary tool. Let me see if I got this summary tool. Summary tool. Okay, why did I get that wrong? So copy that, and I'm going to go ahead and paste it right here. Summary tool is not defined for some reason. So summary tool, run that. Okay, looks like I didn't run that cell. So let's look at what the error is. Okay, so summarization query engine. Okay, so what's the error from here? It says that got unexpected queue argument description. So description. Okay, so we're going to, okay, this actually you're going to say dot from default underscore default. Okay, that's what I forgot. So I'm going to copy that as well and then add it here as well. So dot from default. Good. So once that's what I want to do, so press enter. And once this goes through, I'm gonna press enter here as well. And now we have gone ahead and created the router query engine tool, the router query engine. So we're going to use this router query engine to do exactly as we explained above. So we're going to go ahead and simply ask it a question right here. So I'm going to say response to that question is going to be equals to the query engine dot query. So what is the LoRa paper about? Okay, what's the LoRa paper about? And you're going to go ahead and simply print the string format of the string of this response, and then run that. So what is the LoRa paper about? We got an error right here. It says tuple object has no attribute split lines. Okay, so good. So let's look at what maybe I have an error right somewhere right here. Okay, so okay, this is a tuple that I have passed in, so I have to remove this to make sure that this is not a tuple. Okay, so this actually just a string. Okay, so you can remove this. Since I kept the comma right here, that's why it became a tuple. So that's one of the minute things working with Python. But anyway, we have that solved now. And let's go over here and let's run this. So let's ask it the question, what is the LoRa paper about? So in this case, I expected to use a summary tool. So it's going to use summarizing information. So good. So it's focusing on it's going to use a summarization tool. And because of we set verbose to be true, we can see exactly why it's using chain of thought thinking to be able to solve this issue. So chain of thought. And you can see, okay, I need to use the LoRa summarization tool, and you went ahead and use it and give a summary of all this. So what is the summarization tool basically? So the summarization tool basically stores all the different nodes that we created. And when I mean nodes, I mean these nodes right here, which are in this case 38. Right, so it just stores a collection of all these nodes in a sequential order, in a flat list, in the order in which these nodes were created. So it goes over each of these nodes and creates a summary, and then returns a summary to us. So it does a summary over all the documents basically, or all the nodes of those documents. That's basically what the summarization tool does. And you can see we're getting back the summarization right here. Now let's ask another question that does not involve the use of the summary tool. Okay, so what is special about LoRa as to compared to existing techniques? So what's so special about LoRa compared to existing techniques? Why are we using LoRa? Again, it went ahead and LoRa is specified in terms of summarizing the paper its key point. So again, I think the summarizing tool can be used to return to you information about the paper. So that's also kind of correct. So let's ask it what data, what eval data sets were used in the LoRa paper. Ask it that question. Well, so let's see, this time doesn't require to use the summarization tool. So good, doesn't use the summarization tool. It just went ahead and used the retrieval tool, and it's going to retrieve information about the different data sets that were used to evaluate the LoRa performance. So you can see these are the data sets that were used, and that's absolutely true because I also read the paper as well. So good. So that's basically it, and you can see you're getting back information as we want to. So you can ask it any question. It's going to go ahead and select the question and return to you information. So once you have this, you can also get the different papers, right? You can get the different sources of this information that was being retrieved. Okay. So you can also get print. Let's print uh, basically the response dot source node. You can print the source node to see which node was used to answer this. So source node get content. Let's print that. So you can see this is the first source node that was used. Okay, right there. And about the summarization tool. So if I go right here, here it uses summarization. So I'm going to go ahead and create a code right here. I'm going to get length of the response dot, okay, response dot source nodes. Good. So what I want to do is this, as we explained earlier on, the summarization tool just returns has a flat list of all the different nodes, and then returns a summary of, goes through each of these nodes sequentially and returns a summary of each of those nodes. So basically returning a summary of the whole paper. So now if I check the length of the response, so the response is generated from a given source, right? Some source documents are passed to the LLM. So these source documents are what we can get access to using the source nodes parameter or source nodes property, right? So let's check the length of this and let's see what we get. We get back 38, and 38 is the same length as all the documents is inside of our basically our nodes. So all the nodes have been gone through in order to get the summary, and that's how the summarization tool works. So I just want to show you how that works. And from each response, you can print out the different content sources of or where those responses came from. So that's basically how you can work with this right here. Good. So we have looked at everything, building a router query engine and summarization tools and everything, right? Good. So now let's go ahead and create a util function that we can have all this stored in, so that we don't waste any more time creating in the future. If you want to create a simple vector store, kind of like a router kind of architecture, we can just simply call a function, pass in, and then get back the response that we want to. So let's go ahead and actually do that. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and open my side panel, create a simple we call it utils.py file right here, and you can define an asynchronous function that we're going to use to create this file. So basically you can just go through and get all this and then paste it inside. So copy all the imports, paste them all in here, and then simply go ahead and start copying, create a function, and that's copying everything, pasting it in there line after line. Okay, so I don't want to waste your time, so I'm gonna get this from my GitHub repository. The link to this GitHub repository is gonna be in the link to this video. So I'm going to go into my util files and simply paste the code that I just copied from my GitHub repository. The link to this is in the description of the video. So let me just get rid of this. Okay, looks like I copied a bunch of wrong things as well. So I'll get rid of this as well. Okay, so looks like copied a bunch of wrong things as well. So create vector index document retrieval. Yeah, so that's basically what I want right here. So let me get rid of this right, the other things right here. So get rid of all this. And yes, that's basically what I want to have right there. So that's basically the function right here. And I also have articles of this written. The articles are, you can find them on Medium on my page. Okay, so if I go in here, I can go ahead and click on this, and you can find all these articles right here. And the repository is on my GitHub repository as well. If you want to find the repository today. So I also have written articles of this. So for you guys who like reading, you can find the link to that article in the description of the video. And later on, you can go ahead and use these util functions later on in the series. So guys, thank you for watching so much, and I hope you found this helpful and you have learned something out of this video. So in the next video, we're going to be looking at something really different from what we looked at. You're going to be basically looking at how to perform function calling. How do you call functions from using an agentic RAG system? How do we call function? Let's say that you have an API about products from your e-commerce site that you can call through APIs, and the users can have, you build a chatbot whereby the users can chat with your PDF or your database of products that you have in stock. Then you can implement function calling for such a thing. Yeah, so that's what we'll be looking at in the next video. So guys, thank you so much for watching. If you want to connect with me, you can reach at me you can find me on Medium at Prince Grandpa, where the article to this video is also going to be posted. You can find me on YouTube, hopefully where you're watching this video, on at Code with Prince. You can also find me on Twitter or X at Prince_Grandpa. I really don't do much on Twitter anyway, but I just post these video links and post a lot of memes and the kind of things people do on Twitter, right? It's a typical thing. And you can also find me on LinkedIn if you have anything that you want us to work together, build projects, do cool stuff together. You have any questions or any professional thing, you can always find me on LinkedIn at Prince_Crumper. So thank you guys for watching so much, and I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, don't forget to share this video with anyone who you think might find it helpful. And thank you again for watching. See you in the next one. Keep safe.